Dale, you're a former world kickboxing champion, and you set up an executive fight club in Melbourne. Who's in it?
Well, it's open to anybody. It's EFC is the vehicle for anybody that isn't a professional or amateur fighter but wants to fight. So.
But what sort of people come?
Generally white collar. Well, anybody, to be honest with you.
Paul, you've joined Dale's executive fight club. Why?
I suppose I always had an interest in self-defence or some sort of self-defence, but never really did it. And I read an article about a program like Dale's or something similar, and the person, they really enjoyed it. They'd never done anything like that before, and sort of had challenged themselves to do something a little bit different out of their comfort zone. So that appealed to me. Oh, you got me.
Richard Payne, you joined the Executive Fight Club when you were 56.
Yes.
Why at 56?
Great question. I'm a bit of a novelty seeker. I thought this is good. I want to have a crack at this. I want to learn how to, not learn how to fight, I want to learn how to box.
What's your fighting name?
The Inflictor.
And why is that?
Why is that? Because my surname is Payne, so I was inflict pain.
You said you felt like a rock star. Why did you feel like a rock star?
I felt like a rock star. So I had to defend myself for the other 3 rounds. I stopped in the first 30 seconds, my shoulder.
And you kept fighting?
Kept fighting, oh yeah, I wouldn't give up.
Your cousin made a fake magazine cover.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
I've lost the fight and I'm happy because I put my best out there. My cousin was talking about, he's taking this photo and down the left, and my gut there is a lot skinnier because my cousin airbrushed it. Yeah, so I'm looking. But what he did, he put it in my letterbox, and the next morning made it on the national cover of a fight magazine. And I felt like a rock star after that. It was great.
So you really enjoyed that?
Oh, I loved it. It's on my wall. It's on my trophy wall. It was like a nice moment, and everyone relates to it at home.
Fighting is kind of primal. Like it's quite primal. You don't do it every day. I don't go to work and have a fight. I would consider myself a white-collar worker. Yeah, been in corporate pretty much my entire career. When I was growing up, I wasn't a fighter. In fact, I was probably the opposite. I was probably more afraid or a bit timid. As I grew up, I never really fought in the schoolyard or anything like that. I'd sort of developed an interest in boxing or some sort of self-defence sort of as I got a little bit older. And I always wanted to try it out, and I was sort of trying to look for an environment that would suit someone who's never done it before. The fact there's a fight at the end is definitely, I suppose there's an element of fear attached to it. Training is one piece of it, but then, the fight is another.
Would you welcome Paul the Punisher? I'm
sort of looking at my opponent to sort of get an idea of whether how he's feeling, or sort of sizing him up and seeing what might be going through his mind. It is challenging to get into a ring and sort of, stare someone else. It's basically you and the other guy, so being able to kind of look at that fear and see how you react to it was of interest to me. Yeah. My opponent actually connected with one early on in the jaw, which really kind of rocked me. I remember sort of being on my heels and really looking down. I felt like I was looking down at the ground, which panicked me a little bit. You're stripping away the layers of everything that you do in life, or you sort of construct, and you're kind of there at the base level and, physically hand to hand having a fight. So it's very, very intense. I was fortunate my opponent sort of dropped his hands a little bit, and I was able to land a punch to his chin and rock him a little bit, at which point he had a standing 8 count. Sort of got through, and then really towards the end of the round it was just okay, just try to defend, protect myself. My girlfriend didn't love it. She really said, look, I really don't want you to do this, then I wouldn't do it. So I don't want to put her through something like that. My mother, on the other hand, has said to me sometimes, because she came to the fight, she said, I never ever want you to do that again.
Describe to me, that's your first fight.
It feels a lot like playing AFL, like growing up playing AFL. It's like you've got a lot of adrenaline coursing through your system. It's very instinctive, it just sort of happens.
Are you an aggressive person by nature?
Look, not really, but I've never been in a bar fight, never been in a street fight. I think it's more for me it was about pitting yourself against another person. And
so testing yourself?
Yeah, testing yourself, because you really are getting outside your comfort zone. It's not comfortable when you're standing in a ring looking at another guy he's going to hit you.
What about some of the other men here? Yep.
Why not find other ways to test yourself out without beating someone else to a pulp?
But other people
There must be many other ways in which a human being can test themselves out. Why is this macho nonsense that we have to beat each other up because we're blokes? I just don't follow it at all.
Personally, this is just for me. I don't think there's to physically test yourself. I don't think there's too many other better ways than getting into a ring or one-on-one when you're looking them in the eye. It's very kind of. There's not too many. I don't think there's too many better ways to do that.
Okay. Anyone else like to?